Today on this 2007 Nissan Quest van, we will be installing wiring harness part number 118469. Okay, we are inside the rear cargo area of the Nissan Quest van here, and we're going to go ahead and point out the locations for our wiring harness. Inside the interior of the van, behind these panels on both the driver's and passenger sides as well. To gain access to those, we're going to need to go ahead and remove some of the paneling and this rear threshold plate as well. And if you have one of the storage compartments here at the bottom, we're going to go ahead and need to remove that as well. Since the rear threshold plate's overlapping the two interior panels here, I'm going to start by removing it. There are push rivets located along the back section here of this threshold plate that need to be released in order to get this guy off here. So what I'm going to do is just grab the bottom, and there are actually clips back here as well, and just start prying away until you hear them release. On both the driver's and passenger sides, we're going to have 3 retaining screws that are going to need to be removed, as well as some clips here on the inside that we're going to need to release once we get those screws removed. And come in behind the panel. You'll hear those clips releasing as we go up. Okay, and with my panel pulled back over here on the driver's side, on the rear side wall nearest the taillight, you can see here at the bottom, just rearward of the storage compartment, the connector that we're going to be using to plug our harness into. Also over here on the driver's side, taped just below that, is a gray single pin connector, and that's actually going to provide our power source for our modulite box that's built into our harness. So we're going to need to disconnect the main white port here and plug our harness in line, and then we need to untape the gray one and plug the open-ended port from our harness into it. Just inboard of that as well is a grounding stud, and we're going to need to remove that bolt and use that as our attaching point for our ground wire as well. And then taking a further look at our wiring harness, you'll see the one with the red wire, the single pin connector, that's going to connect into that gray port that we just located, and the connector over here with the yellow and brown wires are going to connect in line to the ports on the driver's side here that feed up to the taillight assembly. You also see that we've got the white wire with the ring terminal on it, and that's going to ground to the grounding stud. And you can see here we've made all of our connections over here on the driver's side. Okay, finally over here on the driver's side, we need to go ahead and adhere the modulite box to the interior somewhere. You can see on the back side of it we've got double-sided tape that we can use. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and peel that back, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere it all the way to the back end against the back panel of the vehicle here. Okay, then with all our attachments made over here on the driver's side, we can go ahead and put that side back together. We're going to move over to the passenger side and make our connections over there next. And then over here on the passenger side, you can see this one's a little bit easier to access. We've got our connection points right here at the bottom. So we're going to disconnect that like we did over on the driver's side and plug our harness in line. And then from our wiring harness, we're going to take the connectors with the green and red wires in them. We're routing that right across the rear threshold we had removed earlier. And we're just going to connect that in line. Okay. Go ahead and reinstall the passenger side panel now. What we want to do when we're routing it across is just to make sure we avoid any of the attaching points that we're holding the rear threshold piece on. You can see those are designated with these black plug-ins here. You can see over here on the driver's side, we've got our 4-pole connector out here, and when we want to use that, we're just going to bring that right out the rear cargo door here, make our connection to the trailer. The weather stripping here at the back section will keep that from getting pinched, so you don't have to worry about that. And then when you go to store it, you can either leave it down here, or you can even, if you want to, route it inside the storage compartment over here on the driver's side. With the threshold piece put back on, We just want to make sure we have all the interior trim panel pieces put back together and into place. Then we're going to go up under the hood and the final fuse into the accessory fuse holder. And the accessory fuse block that we're looking for is located just to the left of our battery here. Just want to go ahead and remove the lid. If you look on the back side of the lid here, each one of the fuse positions is labeled. We're looking for the one labeled the 20 amp trailer tow fuse. Actually though, for our trailer harness needs, we're only going to be using a 10 amp fuse, which is provided with our installation kit. And with that inserted, our installation is complete. This will conclude the installation of wiring harness part number 118469 on a 2007 Nissan Quest van.